Yep, so here we are at 3243 Albion Way. Let's do a quick walkthrough. So here's a shot of the neighborhood, kind of a nice little neighborhood here. We are also not too far from Martin Luther King Boulevard, which I believe is over this way, and then at the back of the property, about a block and a half away, is Colorado Boulevard. So we do get a little bit of traffic noise, but as you can hear, it's not really terrible. The roof looks like it's in good condition. I'm not sure who the designer was who chose all the black paint here. I would probably do something different, maybe a sage green, something like that. Some importance nest action up in here. Probably want to get that addressed at some point. Quickly entering before that becomes a problem. So here we are in the living room dining area. One thing I will say is that the design touches are kind of random. So you have this sort of modernistic looking lamp fixture with the old 40s style cabinetry trim. Windows are all double pane. As you can see, they've got the security rails. Sorry, to spin you around like that so fast on many of them. Most of them actually. Let's look at the kitchen. So the kitchen has a big problem, and that is that you'll see here's a space for the refrigerator, there's a space for the range and stove and the microwave. But what is missing? You guessed it. No space for a dishwasher. The only thing I can imagine, well, I don't think the only thing, but I suppose if I was to try to address that issue, which is probably going to be of some concern depending on who the occupants would be, is possibly punching out a space in this wall that we're looking at here, extending out into the dining area. And other than that, I just don't know that there's a whole lot we could do to add a dishwasher. All right, let's look at the rest of the house. So here from the living room, we've got a doorbell here, but I didn't see a doorbell button at the front. Again, some sort of nice touches from the 40s remain. You can see this cove ceiling effect, subtle type stuff, but kind of adds a little bit of cuteness. Although again, I think probably there could have been a better match to the with the light fixtures, as well as stuff like the door handles and things. Flooring is the vinyl plank, decent, and the floors appear to be fairly flat. There's no softness or rolling to them, so the floors are in pretty good shape. Again, here this is one bedroom. You can see we've got some windows have the protective coating and some of those don't. This one, we've got some closet space here, fairly small but adequate. And we've got a little bit of a, I guess what you'd call linen closet here in this little hallway space. Here's the other bedroom. There's actually sort of a third room here, which I'll show you here in a minute, but this is the originally designed bedroom. Pretty basic. There's an attic hatch up in here, and being an old insulator, I was curious to see if it was well insulated at the top. Couldn't tell because there was a dam built up, and it's a very tight space, as you might guess here. However, the fact that there is a dam built around that little access port is a clue that possibly there was some insulation installed in the roof. Don't really know though at this point. Here is this third room. Now this room, the only access to it is off of the other bedroom. So that's a little bit awkward. However, I suppose it could be used as a study, as a den, as a playroom, whatever. And I don't know if it would be considered a bedroom or not, but here you go. It's got a carpet floor. Appears to be in good shape structurally, as far as we can tell from here. Let's go look at the, let's see here, let's go take a look at the basement. So we're going back in through the kitchen and into the space here. So I do not think there's anything, I do not think the basement would be capable of adding any kind of finished space, but there is certainly room for improvement in terms of just the way the space looks. Don't see a light fixture, I can turn it on down here. But at any rate, the big problem with the basement, I do believe, is going to be this old furnace and what appears to be asbestos coating around the ducting. This house was built in 1942, and that was pretty typical around then. So I'm guessing that's kind of what's going on here. The water heater is 2018, so a little on the old side, apparently functional. Got a little bit of a window here with some ducting where you could put a washer dryer. Obviously, if the space had a coat of paint and some cleanup, it would look a little less forbidding. And but as I said, I think the big issue here is going to be the furnace. Got a little storage room out here. Let's see if I can turn the light on. A little wine closet, maybe, right? A little wine cellar. And then we've got this storage space here. Ceiling height is just a little over 6 feet. So again, and with this ducting here, not much you can do other than store it is what I'm going to guess. You've got a decent crawl space for access to plumbing fixtures and whatnot. Not seeing evidence of knob and tube wiring or galvanized pipes. You see we've got a fair amount of copper here, but just looking around at first glance, this is something that we'd want to verify. Is there doesn't really appear to be either galvanized pipes or aluminum wiring, as far as we can tell at this point. Again, something to be verified. And that is it for the basement. Let's take a look at the outdoors of the backyard. It's got a decent little backyard. Big problem there being it is kind of noisy. So here we are out in bright sunlight. Fencing could use a coat of stain, as you can see from the neighbors here. Could look quite nice if it was stained like that. There's some kind of a belly in the fence here. At one point, there's some parts there where it's kind of broken and missing pieces. So with a little bit of attention, I think the fence could be much better looking. There's really no lawn here. This is just basically a dirt backyard with a gravel surround to it. And again, the proximity to Colorado Boulevard means we're looking at the back of a little Chinese restaurant here, a Chase Bank branch. Not sure what this other building is, can't quite see from there. Some kind of light retail or commercial. Pizza Hut, there you go. And of course, power lines and whatnot in the alley. Here's a view of the back of the house. There is a new electrical panel here that was installed about a year and a half ago, I guess. Yeah, so November of 24, according to some documentation that was provided by the listing agent. And I think that's about it, other than, let's just take a quick look at the carport. We haven't really looked at that yet. That carport is just that. It's just a carport. We head back through the main part of the house. Obviously, there's touches here that would make it a lot more inviting for someone considering purchasing it. That could be done. Also, interesting kind of brickwork here. And I don't know if I'm not seeing any foundation issues, although I did see some kind of wavy brick on the side, which you'll see in one of the pictures. If that indicates some type of a dip in the foundation, I don't know, but it doesn't really appear, other than that, to be the case. And just a little bit of a closer shot of this little carport space, good for one relatively smaller, mid-sized car, and view from the side. You see the rest of the house. So it's a cute little house. It just needs some updates and just a bit of design work that would make it more appealing if it was going to be a fix and flip. The dishwasher problem in the kitchen is obviously the big one, and then anything that could be done if this was going to be a rental to kind of set it up for that might not be a bad idea. And there you go, 3243 Albion.